from the first warning.
They are now evacuating the Wyoming Valley from Harding to Shikshini. That includes Wilkes-Barre.
To the official announcement.
This evacuation is no longer precautionary.
28 Eyewitness News was your exclusive source of emergency information with evacuation updates, relocation sites, and up-to-the-minute television and radio reports on the worst river flooding since Agnes. When it matters most, turn to 28 Eyewitness News, taking the lead.
We're live here at the Luzerne County Emergency Management Agency. We are awaiting a big announcement. Jim Syracuse, director of the EMA. Jim, what do you have to tell us?
The County Emergency Management is requesting activation of the emergency broadcast system. As of 7 a.m., the County EMA is recommending an evacuation of the entire Wyoming Valley area that was affected by the 1972 Agnes flood. This evacuation is no longer precautionary.
I want to show you just how bad, how high it's gotten up here. We're going to take you over to the water levels here. This is where the Susquehanna River is right now. There's not much more to go. There's a couple of feet left. And we want to show you also the over part of this bridge here on the lower arc. The river is kind of right up to the top of the arc there. They're sandbagging, and they will continue to sandbag. They need more volunteers. They're dumping sand, and they want to build up on top of the dike now just in case.
Again, last reading at 7 o'clock, river level at 3307, expecting it to crest at about 35, 36 feet sometime this afternoon. Reporting live at the Luzerne County Emergency Management Agency, I'm Carol MacKenzie. Back to you.
Valuable information again. Once again, Carol, we thank you for that. We'll be coming back to you within the hour to get more. We also want to take you now to 44, where they sounded the official alarm for that recommended evacuation. It happened around 6:30 this morning.
This is a message from the officials of 44th Borough. The Luzerne County Emergency Management Agency has ordered a mandatory, I repeat, a mandatory evacuation of Wyoming Valley starting at 7 a.m. Saturday morning. This early notification is being given to provide the residents of 44th Borough an opportunity to move valuables and belongings to the second and third floors of the residences. Anyone seeking shelter should respond to the west side Technical School in Springville.
And of course, that scene being replayed, I'm sure, throughout the Wyoming Valley and low-lying areas, again, places that were affected by Agnes back in 1972, and again, bringing back memories. And I was a little boy at that time, but seeing video film clips of that back in 72, that really stirred some memories for me.
Now, the best newscast in Pennsylvania continues on WBRE TV.
Welcome back, everybody. You're looking at live pictures on the Market Street Bridge in downtown Wilkes-Barre. People, volunteers sandbagging the Market Street Bridge. Again, the river continues to rise in downtown Wilkes-Barre. They're expecting it to crest at around 36 feet today. That is, depending on where you live in the valley, 4 to 5 feet below dike level. So it's going to be a close call, and they do not want to take any chances. And because of that, they are issuing a mandatory evacuation as compared to a precautionary, which was in place since 11 o'clock last night, which means you should leave your home. They cannot force you by law to leave. But when the experts tell you, and they've been watching the river for years, to leave your home, it may be a good idea. Again, common sense. And the roadways in Wilkes-Barre are open. We've had a lot of calls from people asking if roads are open to get out of the low-lying areas.
The bridge is completely blocked. The river is extremely high, lots of debris, a very ominous picture.
Let's look. Let's show you
Here
some video
pictures.
from what it looked like a little bit earlier today.
That was the scene in 44 a little earlier. You're looking at pictures right now of the river, as I was just speaking about. A rushing river, lots of debris. It's extremely high. Back in the blizzard of '93, Larry, we did numerous live shots along the river, and it did not look like this, and many people were frightened at that point. So a frightening scene for a lot of people.
Well, it's kind of like a snake winding down through the valley, a snake in the grass that's it could jump out and bite you at any time. So that's why they want people to get out of the way. We're not here to scare you. We're here to to let you know what's going on, to help you. And we're going to different areas and different live shots throughout the day, and we'll stay here as long as it takes.
Now, this is the scene in Mackinac. Although it was a mandatory evacuation area, only a few blocks were evacuated, the ones that traditionally flood. The fire department is in constant contact with residents and monitoring the situation, but people there are actually taking a wait-and-see approach. They don't want to leave their homes if they don't have to. One problem for people who want to go to the evacuation center at Northwest Area High School right now is that the road to get there from Mackinac is blocked because of flooding. The situation in Shikshini is even worse. Route 11 is flooded. We had a tough time. Donna Crilly was out on the roadway just a short time ago. She had a hard time getting there. The road in West Anticoke is also flooded.
And we're taking this seriously here, too, at the station. We've taken most of our stuff from the first floor. We're down on Franklin Street downtown, pretty close to the river, and we've taken most of our stuff as we have talked to you on the air, moving upstairs. So we're not asking you to do anything that we wouldn't do, right?
That's right.
Lieutenant Governor Mark Schweiker is in the area. I think he's trying to get over to the emergency command post. What we're looking at now is Scranton video. We see some of the rescue efforts, evacuations going on, the young, the elderly. And again, we mentioned a lot of this being done by boat. And I tell you what, a lot of the folks spending the night in churches, very, very scary for some people. You know, maybe exciting for the kids, but for those of us who may not be able to get around as well, a very trying experience, something that I don't think any of us expected.
Now we are switching to some video out of Williamsport. To cut down on all the scare involved in this, emergency officials are reminding people, if you are evacuated, please call family members, please call friends who might be worried about you to let them know where you are. We had a report out of the Lycoming Creek area just about an hour ago that some 40 people are not accounted for yet. National Guard teams are out looking for them. Our Keith Martin is out there among those.
Right,
among those search parties.
Yeah, Lauren Perkins, our Lycoming County Bureau Chief, is there as well. Right now, we're going to go live to Andy Mahalchik. Andy?
Okay, Pete, Amy, Lieutenant Governor Mark Schweiker is right now touring Luzerne County Emergency Management Agency. He's in that group of people. He's wearing the Penn State jacket. He's walking in. He'll be coming in momentarily. We're going to try to ask him a few questions about relief from the state and what's happening at that level. He's been doing a chopper flyover of the area, and he's coming in right now. Here comes Lieutenant Governor Mark Schweiker. Come over this way, Tony. Lieutenant Governor, what do you think about the area you flew over today?
Well, we're taking stock of the situation, and you certainly, I've got neighborhoods that have been affected by serious flood conditions. You know, I just came from the Parsons section, and literally the basement home, a basement of a Mr. Williams, and we saw what kind of property damage can occur. So generally, Wilkes-Barre, because of some tributaries, the Laurel Creek, has sustained some dramatic damage.
Okay, I think we're going to throw it to Mark Hiller now, who joins us live. Mark, what can you tell us?
Pete, I'm at one of the evacuation shelters set up throughout the Wyoming Valley and Luzerne County. This one is at Wilkes-Barre area Votech, where this school has been turned into a command post for National Guardsmen. Joining me right now is the administrator for Wilkes-Barre area Votech, Tom O'Donnell. Tom, tell me exactly what has been happening here, really, since the overnight hours.
Well, the Red Cross notified our principal, Frank Belinda, and we opened the building. We had people here about 4:30. And we continue to serve as a holding tank and as a evacuation center.
It's ready to go any minute now. This small creek has taken over the streets, washed away small buildings and threatening many homes in Rice Township. Police have evacuated the area and residents are running from their homes, leaving everything they own behind.
If there's a fire, God, it's everything I have.
The water's just raging right underneath this one.
What's making that noise? Is there dogs or something back here?
Where did you find the dog?
Right there by his coop.
Just still chained up, huh? One family had to leave their home so quickly they had to leave their dog behind, chained to the edge of the river. Firefighters were able to rescue it safely. In Newport Township, firefighters were trying to rescue homes. They brought in bulldozers to try to dam up and block a river, diverting it away from the town.
I would say this is second only to the Agnes flood that we had in '72.
Already there's 4 feet of water in the basement of this house, and the first level is now threatened. With more rain on the way and more snow melting, the water's only going to get deeper. Is this going to get worse before it gets better?
Yes, it will. Right now we're calling for another 2 to 2.5 inches of rain. The Wild River begins its raging path in Towanda, Bradford County. Emergency management officials watch this part of the river closely so they can determine how high the river will rise downstream. On the left side of your screen, you can see where the river expands, flooding out the Towanda Airport. Here's a flyby at the Route 6 bridge, almost touching the rising river. Continuing south, check out all the ice chunks near Wyalusing. In Mayo Beach, Wyoming County, no stranger to flooding. Year-round homes and vacation cottages are now part of the river. Lowlands are completely flooded out in the Tunkhannock area. The tour of the river continues to the Wyoming Valley. These pictures were taken mid-morning. At this point, the river remains within the confines of the dike system. Here's a look at the Market Street Bridge. Officials closed it up and volunteers helped to sandbag it shut, while the Pierce Street Bridge, built after the Agnes flood of '72, remained open. Here's an aerial view of the protective levee system in South Wilkes-Barre. Some of the folks hit hardest live near this stretch of the river in Chick-Shinny. And take a look at the homes in the middle of your screen in Mackinac, completely washed out. Moving on to Bloomsburg, of course, the fairgrounds got a soaking. The brown you see on your screen isn't just land and mud. It's a messy mix of mud and water. And the last stop of our air tour takes us to Danville. From high above, things may look average. Of course, they're anything but normal.
Now we're going to put Mark Hiller to work. He was just at the evacuation we told you earlier about in Luzerne County of an area nursing home. Mark is standing by live in our newsroom. Mark?
Diane and Andy, of course, there's a sense of urgency in Kingston. Mayor Gary Reese ordered 3 key areas evacuated before it ever became a mandatory evacuation notice, as we heard from Luzerne County EMA Director Jim Syracuse shortly after 6 o'clock this morning. The activity has been going on throughout much of the early morning. Showing you pictures now from Leader East, where several ambulances are on the scene, not only Kingston community ambulances, but also ambulances throughout Wilkes-Barre and Scranton areas, including Hazleton, Carbon County, Moosic, even some ambulances from the Poconos. Now, at Leader East on 2nd Avenue, Kingston, there are approximately 170 patients there at that Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. Those that are in most medical need are being taken to the VA Medical Center. Those that aren't will be bused to the Mid-Valley Secondary School in Troop. So this effort is wide-ranging, not only in the terms of the personnel who are coming to help at the scene, but also to where these people are being taken for their emergency evacuation and sheltering. Another nursing home evacuated this morning, that being the Dorrance Manor. That is on Wyoming Avenue in Kingston, 151-bed facility there, 145 people being taken out. And right now you're getting a look at some pictures from the Daniel Flood Towers, an elderly high-rise with 200 units. That is also on Wyoming Avenue in Kingston. Folks there have been up since 4 o'clock in the lobby waiting to be evacuated. I suppose by this time many of them have. And again, this was on the order of Mayor Gary Reese before the evacuations actually became mandatory. So a sense of urgency. Most of the people with whom I spoke who were waiting to be evacuated did have a sense of relative calm about them. Those people trying to facilitate the efforts of evacuation, certainly the sense of urgency, perhaps even some worry, as nobody is taking any flood threat lightly. Reporting from the newsroom, Mark Hiller, 28 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Mark. Of course, anyone living in the Wyoming Valley or this area knows that you cannot take it lightly. We saw what happened in Agnes in 1972. We also, Diana, have some video taken at the Kingston Manor on 3rd Avenue in Kingston. Another senior citizen nursing home evacuated this morning. In fact, LCTA buses, county public transportation, lined up and took the people out of there. Again, as Mark described at the other elderly residences, a lot of people, again, not terribly frightened, but concerned. You have people here of very hard time moving about, mobility, many with walkers. You see the wheelchairs there in this cold air. It's quite a shock in the morning. But again, what happens if the dike, if for some reason the water does come, better get those folks out now than take a chance in something worse down the road.
And this is obviously a test for those area nursing homes who are dealing with elderly evacuations. They have done mock drills like this, and you can see things are going relatively smoothly. Getting those folks out there, it looks like everyone's doing their part, including the elderly residents affected. So, of course, they deserve lots of credit getting onto that LCTA bus, especially in the wee hours of the morning. What an incredible situation for them. Again, those folks going to Westside Votech. And we'll continue to update you on that situation as well as the situation at Leader in Luzerne County.
And Eyewitness News was there in 40 Fort when emergency officials made the announcement there.
What we will be advising the towns is to activate any audible siren systems they have, or in place of that, go with what we call route alerting, where they would have emergency vehicles with sirens and loudspeakers, run those streets in the affected areas.
No, that's where they're sending them. The VOTEC. Yes, sir, that's in Pringle.
Otherwise, to get on the loudspeaker and
Okay.
Would you rather me stay here and...
Why don't we have you stay here and handle the calls for me?
Go.
Or I have that.
Right around this area, I'll do that. I'm getting with
Now, Carol MacKenzie has been at EMA headquarters since 10 o'clock last night, bringing us vital information. We're going to join her again.
Carol, what is the latest information you can give us at this point?
Well, right now, Pete, we're waiting for the 8 o'clock river level reading to come in. That takes a couple minutes to register, and we don't have that yet. Some of the new information I have, I just talked to a gentleman from the Red Cross. Their shelters are filling up rapidly. They're also taking in some nursing home residents, which they don't usually do, but these people have nowhere else to go right now, so the Red Cross is housing them. Now, an estimated 80 to 100,000 people should evacuate their homes, according to the EMA, but the Red Cross cannot handle that many people. So if you're one of the people in the low-lying areas in the Wyoming Valley who is going to evacuate, if you have friends or family, the Red Cross is asking you to please go there. One other point that the Red Cross pointed out, the nuclear power plant is just downriver in Berwick, and if something would happen to that plant, God forbid, with the river, they would need to relocate all of Berwick, and they would actually go into the same plant as if there was some kind of a nuclear emergency. But again, that is not a distinct possibility, but they just wanted to mention that they are thinking about that plan as well. Again, the EMA here is strongly suggesting that if you live in the low-lying areas along the Wyoming Valley, that you evacuate now.
Welcome back, everyone. We're continuing our coverage of Flood 96. A lot of activity going on. We are the official emergency broadcast station for you. If you need any help, we'll be giving you lots of information throughout the morning with our rotating team of anchors coming in. It's been a long, long night for you, I know it, and it's been a long, probably terrible evening for the folks out there who did not expect their Friday night to go as badly as it probably did for a lot of folks trying to get prepared, trying to get out of their homes, getting all of their things gathered together.
And things are happening very quickly, no doubt about that. We do want to emphasize, though, that EMA officials in Luzerne County are not expecting the Susquehanna River to overflow its banks by any means. What they are saying is it'll be a very close call. It'll be within 4 or 5 feet of the dike, top of the dike level flood stage at certain parts in the Wyoming Valley, so better safe than sorry, and they are calling for a mandatory evacuation, which basically means you have to leave, you should leave your home, but you are not being forced to leave by law, but common sense should prevail.
We have our team of weather experts standing by live for you as well. We're going to toss it over to Vince Sweeney.
Yeah, I heard you guys say a few minutes ago about remaining calm and everything and how easy it is for us here sitting in a warm studio. And you're right about that, but I think people ought to know that we are remaining calm under the circumstances. One of those circumstances is we happen to be about a block from the river. John Klevanowski and myself took a walk down to the river, I guess within the last half hour or 40 minutes to see what was going on. It's frightening. It's scary. You take a look at the Susquehanna when it's up and muddy and just running full of fury and debris. It's probably got enough energy going there to light the lights of Las Vegas for 4 or 5 years at this point in time. We were watching over there just within the last hour the heroic efforts of individuals, and they are to be commended out doing some of the sandbagging. And I did bump into a guy just as we were leaving who was driving from Texas to Philadelphia, who happened to hear on the radio, probably heard you guys on Warm saying that they needed volunteers. He pulls into town and spends a couple hours, and now he's on his way. We thank him and wish him well. Let's take a look at some of the situation here with the temperatures and all. 17, it's very cold outside. 4 winds, I guess they're about, let's see, west-northwest. They're kind of variable here, 3-4 miles an hour. They're not that stiff, certainly not downtown. The humidity is 79%. Air pressure 30-39. No precipitation today after a day that was just absolutely loaded with rain yesterday, up to 3.5 inches in some spots, melting all the snow, causing excuse me, creeks and streams and rivers to rise. We continue to monitor the Susquehanna River situation, which is perhaps the most potentially dangerous of all at this point in time. I do have a Doppler picture to show you and reassure you that there is no precipitation out there. And in fact, that's one of the reasons we will be here with you throughout the day, John Klevanowski and myself, to kind of reassure you that there is no weather to be concerned about today other than the fact that it is kind of cold, as you can see temperatures for yourself. Here's our Doppler picture. There you go, folks. Nothing doing except up north along the lakes. We are clear. Skies are clear. Matter of fact, the sun's starting to come out. If it were not for all the flooding problems and the ominous look of the Susquehanna, today would be a very, very pretty day for most of us. Let's get you the forecast for today. It'll be dry. Trust that. Sunshine, clouds. It will be cold. And the high today will reach 26 degrees. We've got about 8 or 10 degrees to go in most places to get there. Rest of the forecast for tomorrow, we might see a little bit of accumulating snow sometime during the day, 26 for a high. And then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, looks like we're headed for the mid-30s by the middle of next week. So once again, we're here to help out in any way we can, especially to reassure you that weather outside of being cold will not present a problem for us today. There is no more rain. What rain has come and gone. It's come and gone. So whenever you need us, guys, just give us a holler. John and I will be happy to take care of you.
Show your listeners, but it's temporary housing, it's individual assistance, it's emergency repairs, it's unemployment benefits, it's small business administration loans, it's a damage assessment, and the federal government has an important role to play, and part of my job on the Appropriations Committee is to see that it's done.
Good morning, I'm Pete Gaksick. We now continue our coverage of the flood of '96. This now our 9th hour of continuous coverage. Don Timoney and I, of course, starting this all off on the night beat at 11 o'clock. Joining me now, Amy Kellogg. A very trying day for everyone.
Very trying day, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of worry. The important thing, though, is to remember to keep calm and just listen to people, listen to the emergency officials who are out helping.
That's right. Let's get right to the meat of things. An emergency evacuation mandatory is in effect right now. When we say mandatory, that does not mean that the emergency officials can force you out, but it is a strong recommendation. Let's go to Jim Syracuse, the Emergency Management Director for Luzerne County.
The County Emergency Management is requesting activation of the emergency broadcast system. As of 7 a.m., the County EMA is recommending an evacuation of the entire Wyoming Valley area that was affected by the 1972 Agnes flood.
Well, that is the ice and the chunks and the debris that is floating down the river. And to bring us up to date on that, right along the river, south of downtown, is Connie LeGrand. Connie, what does it look like right now?
Actually, I'm at the Ross Street pumping station, and this is where I mentioned to you earlier that they were having problems. And if you can take a look here, what's happening is the water is coming through a floodgate, and it is much better than it was early. As you can see, they're using some sandbags here to try to block it off. And right now I have Robert Harris. He's with the sewer department. And could you tell me, could you explain it better exactly what happened here?
Well, when the gate was going down, it got jammed about that far. And we put sandbags on it to hold it. You know, but there's a plate under there. We put sandbags on the plate to hold it from actually coming out.
How serious of a problem does this pose?
Not really. None really.
So you think it's under control at this point? I know at some point there was a great concern because a lot of this was flooded. It looks like you've managed to reroute the water down, right down into that sewer. It wasn't happening like that before, was it?
No, it was coming across the road and caused an ice problem. So what we did, we put the bags here to make it go in the sewer, and it's really not a problem.
Good. I have another question for you also. I've noticed it's not a major problem, but some of the seams are leaking along the way here on these steel posts. Is that a problem at this point?
No, when they put the beams in, they lock. Some of them didn't actually seat. So that's what happened. It's no problem either.
So at this point, it doesn't look like they're about to burst or anything?
No.
Okay, so no reason for panic here. As you can see, they're going to continue.
I have a house down here, and if I was worried, I'd go home and get my dog, so
there you go. There you go, right here from the neighborhood. So they're going to keep doing this until they get this blocked off, so hopefully it won't affect. There's some homes right across the street. You can see how close that it really is. So it was a problem, but it looks like they may have it under control, and we'll just keep checking on that river. So back to you guys.
Hey, are those guys exhausted, Connie? How long have they been there?
They are exhausted. I think they've been in different areas, and so maybe we can talk to them a little bit later. I don't know exactly how long they've been out here, but he's smiling now, but I'll tell you what, about 5 minutes ago, he was dragging through here.
I think we have some big news to tell you about right now. Let's go right to Kathy Baczynski.
Well, Dia and Pete, I'm going to introduce you to probably, at this moment, one of the most popular guys in Wyoming Valley. Folks, it looks like we're going back home. Jim, what's the decision been?
As of 5 p.m., after concurring with the Corps of Engineers on the condition of the dike, we've decided to allow people back into their homes. This will begin at 5 p.m. As far as the risk facilities, the medical facilities and nursing homes, some of them have elected to keep their people overnight where they're at. It's going to be much easier tomorrow during the day. But for the regular population with their own transportation or at a Red Cross center needing transportation, as of 5 o'clock, we'll start moving those people back in. One note of caution, we're asking people to please, once they get home, stay home. We don't want them walking around. We've got a number of people out walking the dikes tonight. That water is still going to be high on the dike, and we still have a dike patrol going on. So we're asking them to please stay off the dikes especially and try to stay home tonight.
Okay, any specific procedure or recommendations for people getting home, back into Wilkes-Barre, back into other areas in an orderly manner?
Just take their time. It's no big hurry. If you're about to have dinner where you're at. Take your time. There's no rush to get back home, just like there was no rush to leave. There doesn't have to be a panic to come back, since there was no panic leaving this morning.
Okay, now river status and what makes you so sure that all is clear?
We've had about, it crested just below 34.5 feet. And we turned around and we've had about 4 readings now of steady drop. We've checked with the Corps of Engineers. Any of the areas that were concerned where there's supposed boils were, it turned out to be a lot of relief wells that have been built in to take the pressure off the dike. They feel very strongly and very confident with their dike system, considering this is the first time it's been this high in the dike system in over 20 years. They're very happy with the performance of the dike system, and they're saying all systems are go. But again, this is something that we will be monitoring for another 3 or 4 days yet before the water gets down.
Okay, Jim, I think I can hear a collective sigh of relief all across the Wyoming Valley, and our thanks to you and your staff for getting us through this.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you for your assistance.
Okay, thank you very much. There you hear it. There's the word. Jim Syracuse says at 5 o'clock in about, 13 minutes or so, all those folks evacuated from the Wyoming Valley areas, Wilkes-Barre, Hanover Township, Nanticoke, Pittston, all up and down the river, can return home. Now, once again, Jim says to do this in a very leisurely, orderly manner, and once you get home, stay home. We want people off the streets tonight. There will be people doing certain jobs along the dike areas that we shouldn't interfere with. So please stay home, make sure that everything's fine and safe at home, and just stay there, and we've gotten through this one, guys.
And tell you what, we've been waiting for this for a long time. I can't help but think when Carol MacKenzie broke the news of the evacuation on our 11 o'clock newscast last night, a matter of 24 inches.
You're watching the huge payloaders taking the dirt from the sandbags that were put here from hundreds of volunteers last night to close this bridge, because the fear, of course, was that the water would rise up over the bridge and flood downtown Wilkes-Barre. You're looking at that dirt and that sand being taken away, and this bridge will be open within a short time tonight here in Wilkes-Barre. Again, Market Street Bridge connecting Wilkes-Barre and Kingston will be open tonight, and you see the opening right here. Connie LeGrand, come here very quickly. Connie, you were here all afternoon. What was the mood among the people who were just watching this river?
Very tense. So this is like just such a relief and a weight off all of their shoulders. You can tell how happy they are. Everybody's cheering and really glad to be here.
What was it like? Did you think the river would ever stop rising?
I was worried. I was very, very, very worried. And as the day went on, it got better and better and better, but I was worried.
All right, Connie LeGrand, let's go into Tom McGordy very quickly. Tom, this is just the beginning of this work here tonight. What's going to happen tomorrow?
The sun came up in the city today, and the residents should be very happy. Tomorrow, we're having an ambitious plan to go down and clean up where we had our problems. We don't need any volunteers. We are all ready to rock. What we're going to do tomorrow is we have pumps. We're going to pump out the basements, get the heating plants going. We're going to get all the garbage out of the house that are destroyed. We have some National Guardsmen that are going to help us get that out. After we get it out on the street, our men will take it out next week, and we're going to reclaim those neighborhoods in a few days. Garbage pickup is back. Everything's ready to roll. And let's move on to the next tragedy. We're not going to have any more for a long time. 18 days in office, and I've had enough.
Tom, what about, you had the snowstorm, you had the flooding, flooding in South Wilkes-Barre, all of this work being done now, the expense. What about federal money or state money to help offset the cost of this?
Andy, as you know, I spent today with Lieutenant Governor Schweiker. We were around Wyoming Valley, mostly Wilkes-Barre, showed what we had, the problems we had, and he looks very well. We're going to get some federal funding, and later today, FEMA flew some more people in and had them go around Wilkes-Barre with them. And they were surprised by the devastation down along Solomon Creek and Law Run Creek. And I think we're going to get some money for our repairs. According to Joe Davis, our superintendent of the street department, he believes the capital expense of the city will be about twice of what it was in glory of 1985.
We have a report now from Williamsport with Lauren Perkins.
The water was deadly in Lycoming County last night. It came in fast and high and trapped some people in their homes for one very cold, dark night with no heat or electricity. The National Guard went door to door from dawn to dusk today, rescuing people and their pets from the Trout Run and Old Lycoming Township areas. Those areas hit hardest by the flood of '96. Some people never got out of their homes until it was all over. Others traveled on foot back to their properties to assess the damage.
Everything can be replaced, though.
But most Lycoming County residents spent today in Red Cross shelters, waiting and hoping that their homes were still standing. In Williamsport, Lauren Perkins, 28 Eyewitness News.
And as we close out, we're going to show you a montage of video. John Daniels did this, or edited it, and it was, of course, shot by a lot of different people.
And one thing we want to say is you've seen all of us on-air people. There are so many people working behind the scenes to make this happen. We want to thank all of them because obviously this wouldn't get on the air without them. We also want to thank Warm Radio, WVIA-FM, and WVIA-TV for helping to get the message out because this really wasn't a competitive situation here. It was important to get the information out to the people, and they did a great service, and we thank them for simulcasting 28 Eyewitness News.
And we really thank our guys back in the control room and the guys out in the field. I mean, they're the ones that are trudging up and down the levees and carrying the backpack and, you know, getting cold. I only had a little bit of the coldness today, but, you know, here's some of the scenes of the last few hours that you've seen here. And don't forget, 11 o'clock tonight, Carol will be back, right?
Yes, we will be back at 11 o'clock tonight to show you what else is going on. Again, we thank you for watching. It's been an incredible 24 hours here in the Wyoming Valley, and for most places a happy ending, but let's keep in mind the folks who did get flooded out because there were some areas that got socked.
Okay, good night, everybody.